Hello everyone, you're all welcome back to my channel. In today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this bodycon draped dress by Veekee James. If this is your first time of being here, thank you for joining us. Do subscribe, like and comment. Let's get started. I'm working with 4 yards of Duchess fabric and I'm going to start from the upper part of the dress. To determine the amount of fabric to fold, I'll divide my bust measurement by 4 and add 1 inch allowance. So I've gone ahead to mark my start line. I'm going to place my tape on the start line and mark out my underbust, which is 16 inches. The length of the dress is 19.5 plus half inch for joining allowance at the hem. So I went on to mark a straight line there. So I'll go ahead and take my shoulder measurements. The shoulder measurement I'm working with is 18 inches, divide by 2, making it 9 inches. And I also took my neck width of 3 inches and neck depth of 3 inches as well. So I'll go on and mark a line to connect the dots, and I'll give it a curve at the edge there. I'll come to my shoulder point and come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slant. I'll connect from my neck width to that point. And then at the shoulder point, I'll come down by 8.2, which is my armhole depth. Divide your bust measurement by 6 plus 1.5 to achieve that. And I'm going to rule a straight line, making this line my chest line. So at that point, I'm going to take half of this armhole, which is 4.1. I'll mark it and I'll come in by ½ inch. This is going to eliminate gaping at the armhole. So I went on to take my round bust. I divided it by 4 and I marked it at that point. So I connected the dots together from the midpoint of my armhole to the bust point. So because the fabric I'm working with is stretchy, I'm not really going to be adding much of a sewing allowance. So I went on to take my underbust measurement, my waist measurement divided by 4. And I'm going to add just 1 inch sewing allowance to them because the fabric is already stretchy. I might not even use it, but let me just add it for safety sake. So I'll go on and roll my lines connecting these dots, and I'll smoothen it out at that sharp edge there, and I'll go up at the shoulder. This is to get my shoulder allowance for joining. I'll go on and cut it out. So guys, if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please do subscribe. Hit on the red button to subscribe, turn on your post notification so you're updated whenever I post a new video, because I have lots of interesting content coming your way. So this is the front. We'll go on and cut out the back. So for the back now, I'm going to measure mark out 1.5 inch for the zipper allowance, and then I'm going to take all my horizontal measurement from that line for the zipper allowance. I'll take my horizontal measurement from there, while the vertical ones I'm going to take them from the start line. So I've gone ahead to mark my underbust of 16 inches. I'm going to rule a straight line at that point. And then I'll go on to take my shoulder measurement of 9 inches, which is 18 inches divided by 2, and my neck depth of 3 inches, and neck width of 3 inches, and neck depth for 2 inches for the back. I came down by 1 inch for shoulder slant, and I connected from the neck width to that point. Also took my armhole depth, just like we did in front. And I'm marking out the armhole depth and also ruling out my chest line. So for this back armhole, I'm not going to come in like I did for the front because it's back. The back shoulder is broader. The armhole side is broader at the back, so I'll just give it a curve at that point there, just like you're seeing me doing. So I'll go on and take my round bust, my round under bust, and my round waist, dividing them by 4 and marking it, and also adding 1 inch sewing allowance. I'll connect the dots, rule a line there. I also go up to get the sewing allowance for my shoulder. I'll go on and cut it out. So it's just like drafting a basic bodice, and there's no dart to the bodice. It's a stretchy fabric. The fabric I'm using is stretchy, so it's going to fit perfectly on the body. So at this point, I'll go up at that middle part by 1.5. I went up by 1.5 inches, and this is to eliminate zipper bulge. And also, usually if you don't do this, the back part of the dress becomes longer than the front, so you remove parts of some inches to avoid that. So I'll go on and cut it out. Just connect it from that middle part to the sides. You're not removing the 1.5 from the sides of the pattern. You're only doing that on the middle part. I'm going to cut out facing for the front and back neckline. I'm going to fold a piece of paper. I have a piece of paper on fold. So in front, the length is 4 inches. At the shoulder is also 4 inches. So I'll go on and cut out the neckline, and then I'll shape it out at the shoulder, and then give it a cut, connecting it to the shoulder. I'll do the same thing for the back. This piece of fabric is what I'll use to turn the neckline. You can also use your bias tape for this if you want, but I prefer to use a facing. It gives it a more professional touch. Yeah. So I'll go on and cut it and stitch it, then give it a curve. So right now I have the skirt part of my dress. This is the front part. I'll go on and mark 1.5 inches. You know, the front have a slit. So this is to create the slit at the front. This 1.5 inches. I'm going to use it to create the slit at the front of the dress. So I'll roll a straight line down. From that line, I'll start all my horizontal measurements. So my waistline, I'm marking out my waistline, divide by 4. And then I'll come down. My hip line is 9.5. I marked it there. And I rule out a straight line. So at my waist, I'll take my waist measurement. My waist, 36 inches divided by 4. I marked it there. The hip, 43 inches divided by 4. I'll also mark it, and I'm adding 1 inch allowance. So whatever I have on my hips, I'll remove 2 inches and place it at the hem of the skirt. So I removed 2 inches from what I have on my hips, my hip measurement, and I placed it at the hem of my dress. So I'll go on and shape it out. And when making this dress, make sure you're using a very light fabric. A light fabric will work better, especially because of the drape in front. So a light fabric will be better, and let it also stretch. So I'll go on and cut it out. Like the fabric I'm using is light, Duchess is light, and it stretches as well. So this is my back, the back part of my dress. I'll go on and place the front on it. Okay, and I'm also leaving 1.5 inches at the middle point, at the middle side of the skirt for my zipper allowance. So I'm going to place the front on the back to shape it out. But I don't know why my camera is shaking like this. It's not steady at all. Guys, please bear with me on this one. I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to fix this before the next video. So that's my zipper allowance I'm marking out there. I'm going to place the front on it. The front also have same 1.5 inches. So all I need to do is to place it and so I'll place it and I'll cut it out to shaping it at the sides of the skirt. And I'm not doing any butt contouring because it's a stretchy fabric, and I feel it's going to fit well, so I won't be contouring. That's why I'm just leaving it at 1.5 like that. But you can go on and do yours if you want. Yeah, it's stretchy, so I'm okay with it. I'm working with the zipper this way. So now I'm going to take the slit point. I'll be working with 22 inches. That's for the front. So now I've gone ahead to turn my neckline using the facing I cut out. You can see how neat it's looking. When you use the facing, this is how your work turns out. So I've done that. And also I came down at the front for the slit. I'm going to use my hemming gum to hold it down, to hold down the slit. I don't want to stitch it. I don't want to stitch it at that point. It's not going to give me a neat work. So this is what I'm going to be doing using my hemming gum. But if you don't have hemming gum, you can still go on and stitch. But I prefer this method. So I'm using this. I came down from my waist 22 inches for my slit. So I'll go on and use my steaming iron to iron down the hemming gum to the dress. And I'll join the upper part to the down part of the dress. I'll do same for the back. So this is what we have after I'm done stitching them together. I'll go on and attach my zipper to the back. So at this point, I have my slit already. It's opened. I think I ended up coming down by 18 inches or 19. You can see my slit there. So now I'm going to determine the length of the drape at the front, the hip part of the dress. You know, there are some gathers down there, the drapings. So I'm measuring out 10 inches. And then from the shoulder to the other shoulder, I'm measuring out the amount of fabric to cut out for this, for the draping at that part. So I have like 47 or 46 inches, but I'm going to measure out like 49, 48 to be on the safe side. And then for the hip part, from one hip to the other, I ended up having like 20 something, but I'm going to measure out enough. So here, let's go on and cut out our sleeve before the drapings. So go on and mark your round wrist, not really the wrist, the palm, because the sleeve is going to get to that point of the palm. So the length of my sleeve is 28 inches. I went ahead to mark my elbow point and then my bicep. From that part of the back where I marked my biceps, which is 7 inches, I came down by 5 inches. So from the middle part of my pattern paper, I'm going to give it a curve just like I'm doing right now. To that point of 5 inches, I came down by. So when I measure it, I have my round armhole. So I'm going to add 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then my round bicep, which is 7 inches, I'm going to mark it there and I will add 1 inch for sewing allowance. My round elbow, which is 6 inches, I marked it and I also added 1 inch for sewing allowance. Then just like I'm taking my round palm right there, it is 4.5. And I also went on to mark 1 inch for sewing allowance. Remember, the thumb is going to be out in this dress. The way the style is, the thumb is out. So I'm going to show you how to achieve all of that. I marked the midpoint of my round armhole, which is 4.1, and I rule out a curve there. This is for the front part of our dress to align. You know, when we're cutting out the dress, we came out by ½ inch. So this is going to help it to align properly. I'll go on and cut out my sleeve. This is what I have. I'll place it on my fabric and cut it out. So don't forget to cut out that part of the front part. So now let's go on with the draping. I've gone ahead to cut out this quantity of fabric. So at my shoulder I have 5 inches, 5.5, but I left ½ inch for sewing allowance. I'm going to be attaching my sleeve, so I multiply that 5 inches by 4, so I have 20 in width there. And for the hip part, the length of the drape from my waist is 10 inches, so I multiply that 10 inches by 5 to give me 50 inches in width for the drapings at the hip part, from the waist down to the 10 inches point. You can make yours 12 inches, 13 inches. you can make it longer. And also make sure when the distance, okay, the distance at your hips from one hip to the other at the edges, make sure you have enough fabric, okay. Make sure it's long enough so that when you're draping, just like I'm doing right now, you can take it up. You know, the way the style is, it went up to the waist part. You can move it up and you are able to, just like this, okay, you can move it up easily. So you need excess fabric at the edges. Don't forget to add excess fabric at the edges. I have to use a rope to tie it so that I can do my drapings and gathers very well. And so you see what we have at this part. I went on to drape also. I gathered at my shoulder. And I worked on the draping at that point. So I'm going to pass it through. The gathers at the waist. So I'm going to pass it through it to the other part of the shoulder, just like I'm doing. And I'll arrange the drapings there. I'll arrange it how I want it to be. I'll go on and cut out my excess fabric. And don't forget to leave 1/2 inch for sewing allowance at your shoulder to connect your sleeve. So when doing your draping, leave 1/2 inch sewing allowance. If you're yet to subscribe, please do subscribe, like and share, comment, ask questions. So at the end, this is what it's looking like after stitching it at the shoulder. This is what I have. And so I'll go on to connect the back to the front part of the dress. So now to connect it at the shoulder, what I did was to just watch the way I did it so you understand better. I took one part of the back fabric and I brought it forward. I'll go on and stitch it this way. By stitching it like this, I have a neat finishing at my shoulder. So this is what I have. You can see that at that point, the finishing is neat. So the rest rough edges, I'll go on to weave it. So this is my sleeve. I've gone ahead to fold it. I'll go on and attach the middle point of my sleeve to the middle point of my shoulder. And I will stitch it. I'll take it to my sewing machine and I'll stitch it around the armhole. After stitching, this is what I have. You can see my shoulder point, how neat it's looking because of the way I joined it. Follow that process and you'll get a result like this. So the next thing I need to do is to join the sides. So at this point, remember the thumb is out at the hem of the sleeve. So you at your sleeve, what you do, you come up by 1 inch, mark it there. And then from that 1 inch point, you're going to mark 2 inches. You mark 2 inches. So you're going to sew from the edge of your sleeve to the 1 inch point. You stitch it. Then you leave the 2 inches point. And then you start sewing from that 2 inches point down to the bodies of your dress. I hope you understand my explanation. So this is what I have. I've gone ahead to stitch 1 inch. I just stitched 1 inch from the hem of my sleeve, and then I left 2 inches opened. From that 2 inches point that is opened, I started doing the rest stitching. Okay, so I'm going to use my hemming gum to lay it down properly so it's laying well. And I'm using my steaming iron to hold it down. So you can see that open point, that's where the top is going to come out through. At the end, this is what we have. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like and share our videos, comment, and I'll see you in our next video. Remain blessed. Bye.